Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus, Howrah, Gitanjali Superfast Express is arriving shortly.
Good evening, friends and members of Gitanjali Express group. I once again welcome all members and our special guest and speaker, Mr. Ashish Gumashta, MD and CEO of Julius Baer India, to this Silver Jubilee edition of Addavantage Knowledge Sharing Session. Friends, Gitanjali Express family is growing and it is getting better every day. We now have 50 plus live members and 250 plus annual members. And we are present on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. We have our own app which you can download on your mobile and stay updated and connected always with all members. So as you are also aware, recently we had also launched our CA scholarship program, Kautilya. So I would urge members to identify CA Inter or IPCC as we call it now, students who are qualifying in May 22 session for the scholarship program, and also come forward to generously contribute for this noble cause. I am also happy to share that 4 members have pledged to sponsor 1 student each under this program. Please visit our website or any other social media or our social media channels for more details. Coming to today's session, friends, we are living in a VUCA world. As you all know, the volatile times, uncertain times that we are living in. And last 2 years, we have seen how various events, be it starting with COVID-19, the Ukraine-Russia war, and several other domestic and international events which have played ups and downs. And most of us chartered accountants by qualification and in the industry have been taken by surprise. To help us understand the nuances and provide tips on how to manage our wealth in today's turbulent times, let us hear from the expert himself, Mr. Gumashta. The session will be moderated by our very own Pankaj Chitlangia, who is also an expert in the wealth management space. And I'm sure we'll have an interesting dialogue in this session. I now invite and hand over the stage to Pankaj to take this session forward. Have a nice evening and take advantage from this Addavantage. Over to you, Pankaj.
Thanks, Neeraj, and very good evening to Mr. Ashish and very dear friends. I must say today we have the best combination, a very apt topic, how to manage wealth in turbulent times, specifically when both equity and debt are giving negative returns, as well as the inflation hedge or risk hedge gold is also struggling. And a very apt speaker to take us through this topic, Mr. Ashish, who is leading an organization, managing wealth and steering his client through tough times. Before I ask Ashish to give his insight, I'll ask Sangeeta to say a few words about Mr. Ashish. Over to Sangeeta.
Thank you, Pankaj. At the outset, I would like to welcome and thank Mr. Gumashta on behalf of the entire Gitanjali community to take out time on a weekend and enlighten us with his views on wealth management, asset allocation, and wealth creation. To know more about Mr. Gumashta, Mr. Gumashta is an industry veteran with nearly 3 decades of experience in wealth management. Mr. Gumashta is MD and CEO with Julius Baer India since 2017. We all know that Julius Baer is the largest foreign wealth manager in India. Prior to Julius Baer, Mr. Gumashta was managing director with DSP Merrill Lynch. He was the key figure which ensured transition from Merrill Lynch to Julius Baer when they set up their shop in India by acquiring Merrill Wealth's business in 2015. Mr. Gumaste has been associated with Merrill since 1994. He was the founding member of their private client group. He has held various leadership positions with DSP Merrill Lynch and was responsible for establishing the wealth management platform for them. Ashish also holds a master's degree from Mumbai University. He has also attended Chevening Gurukul Executive Program at LBS and has studied various executive courses at HBS, Peking University, and has School of Business. Apart from this, he is also actively involved with various NGOs in various philanthropic activities related to disability, education, and health. He stays in Mumbai with his family. And to add on, which I came to know now, that his wife is also a chartered accountant and is also from Calcutta, like all of us in Gitanjali community. Over to you, Pankaj.
Thanks, Sangeeta. And I'll call upon Ashish to present his thoughts. And for participants, we'll take question after we hear from Ashish. Thanks. Over to you, Ashish.
Thank you, Pankaj, Neeraj, Sangeeta. Am I audible? Can you guys hear me clearly?
Perfectly fine.
Thank you. So I have traveled a lot on Gitanjali Express. My father was posted in Delhi for 6 years. I always remember Gitanjali Express because your car could come next to the train, you know, when it went to the Howrah station. And a lot of my learning has been between the Mumbai to Calcutta journey, which used to be 30 hours plus once upon a time. So, when this name came to my mind and brought a lot of memories. In fact, if Gitanjali Express was via Surat, then a lot of our MLAs would have taken that instead of that, you know. But anyway, I'm very excited to be here. I have a lot of Calcutta in my family. My wife is a chartered accountant, my father-in-law, my uncles, and of tax. Like I had commissioners. My aunt was the last one to retire, Urvashi Saxena ji from income tax. So I've had both tax and chartered accountants in my family. I wanted to do my CA, but I thought I'll fail. So I did my articles for 1 year. I did the CCs, and then I realized my wife was smarter than me. And then MBA was the easier route out, you know. So I have deep admiration for CA. Whenever I have a dilemma, I always land up in Calcutta because Calcutta has got solutions to every problem. You know? So whenever you don't understand everything, when GST came into the country, I first landed up in Calcutta. Any complex issue, I think people from Calcutta have all the solutions. You know, in fact, our financial industries, my colleagues in Kotak, India, Infoline are all from Calcutta. You know, and of course, the joke was, unfortunately, my wife is traveling today. She would have loved to join us, but she said, "Ki इसमें तो सब तुमसे ज्यादा होशियार है, तो तुम इसमें क्या करोगे? तुम्हें तो सुनना चाहिए, तुम बोल क्यों रहे हो उससे?" तो मैंने कहा, anyway, जो भी होगा, कुछ नए दोस्त बनेंगे, कुछ नया सीखने मिलेगा, and it will be a good interaction. So there are two people, और जैसे बोला जाता है कि हर लाइफ में अपन को हेल्थ और वेल्थ की जरूरत है. तो हेल्थ के लिए आपको जीपी चाहिए, फैमिली डॉक्टर चाहिए, और आपको वेल्थ के लिए सीए चाहिए. बिना सीए के इंडिया में कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. इनफैक्ट हम जो भी करते हैं बिना CA के कॉपरेशन के साथ कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता है. So I think my regard for the chartered accountants is very, very high. I've seen a lot of CA firms evolve over a period of time. We work very closely with some of the leading CA firms. In fact, this morning I was talking to one of the largest firms, CEOs, which has transformed itself very well, EY today. EY is, you know, the India practice for EY is one of the largest in the world. So I think it's very interesting how chartered accountants have transformed their business. They are across industry. I don't know how many of you know, once upon a time, all pharma CEOs used to be chartered accountants, you know, but now it's across industry, across sectors, and I'm really, really excited to be here. What I'll try and do is in the next 20-25 minutes, share how do we see the world. You know, most of the people are looking for predictions, and predictions never work, you know, because if we knew what was coming in the future, then I would have not been advising you. I would have been as wealthy as all of you guys, you know. So the idea is not to predict, but spend some time in the next 20-25 minutes, share my thoughts with you. I'll try and keep it as simple as possible. Some of you may find it basic, but I'm happy to take questions depending on my ability to answer them. So I've got a short presentation which I'll use to share my thoughts, and maybe after that we can get into the question answer session. Hopefully this presentation should answer most of the questions. If we can go on to the first slide, please. The next one, please. So very simply, the Western world is grappling with something they haven't grappled in the last 30 to 40 years, which is inflation. And this is as a result of modern monetary theory. अपने लिए समझना बहुत जरूरी है कि आज का जो समय है उसमें the government is saying that look, we are okay with capitalism, but it is state controlled capitalism. So if things don't work our way, we'll come in and we'll interfere. So the new modern monetary theory becomes very, very important. And for all of us, all you chartered accountants, for me, for Neeraj, for your entire committee, this is the first time that this is happening. So it's a learning process. So in the modern monetary theory, you spend more, you print more money, and your currency has remained stable. Now that process is about to reverse, and it's stabilize. So I think in the next 1 to 2 quarters, we'll get clarity on are we heading for inflation? Are we heading for stagflation? We'll get a quick perspective on that. If we can go to the next slide. In the world, as you can see, India is quite favorably placed. There aren't too many areas of growth, and we are one of the areas of growth. And in the next 10-15 minutes, I'll try and share with you that how is it that we are seeing India vis-a-vis the world. But one thing which is very clear is that the Western nations are going to go through a period of challenge. And whether it is recession, whether it is stagflation, only time will tell. At present, Julius Baer's view is that we are not heading for recession. But it's something the next 1 to 2 quarters will define. But if you're a foreign investor today and with so much liquidity, with lower yields, there are very few opportunities for you to come in and invest. And that is where we'll talk a bit about it. If we can go to the next slide. Now, this is a slide you guys understand better than me, but the month-on-month GST collection continues to improve. The government has really cracked down on GST. Some of you who are practicing will know the positive and the negative aspects of this, but the GST collection and the direct tax collection has very pleasantly surprised us. Manufacturing, I don't know how many of you all have looked at the PLI scheme, but it is going to positively surprise us. I was with one of the companies in Chennai yesterday, and this rate at which they are looking at investing is very, very encouraging. Indian entrepreneurs are the best example that if things are not doing well and they're still investing in the business, it gives you an idea that something is there in reality, which is different. And we've got to understand that the Indian consumer has changed today. If you see air conditioning sales, I was talking to my friend, we have a chain in Bombay called Vijay Sales, so Nilesh is my batchmate from school. And he was telling me that, look, we don't have any slowdown. So the basic pattern of consumption is changing. And that is very, very important. So looking at it from the old lens is not really the best way to look at it. So actually the Indian economy is not to worry. And I would suggest to each one of you, when you travel across the country, I was telling Neeraj in one of the weddings, which I found in a tier 4 town or tier 3 town, the family spent $500,000 on one function, So, I mean, when I travel across India, you'll be pleasantly surprised. And rural India is very resilient. Please understand that there's been a increase in the prices, in the agri prices, between 10 and 30%. And rural India actually has much more money to consume. If we can go to the next slide, please. Now, this is something the government is worried about. So the rule is that if RBI starts worrying about it, we can relax. This was something which was giving us a lot of worry, that our current account deficit was widening, our fiscal deficit was widening, foreign exchange reserves are not looking that comfortable because we've had a $39 billion outflow from FIIs Some of the Indian assets have been sold by foreigners in cement. We've had a sale where money is likely to go out. But if you see Reserve Bank, and today the finance minister made a comment that both finance ministry and Reserve Bank, for them, the top priority now is the trade deficit and the currency. So I think when the central bank starts worrying about it, we can relax about it. So this is something we are going to keep a watch on. The only variable for us which really matters now is oil. And it is anybody's guess, but 100 plus is the new reality. Our current view is that we don't see a 150, 175 scenario unless something happens with Taiwan or China or some such thing. So in my view, in my personal opinion, things seem to be under control here because the government is now focused on it. If we can go to the next slide. Now, equities, big word, but again, simple and at the same time complicated. And I'm going to spend some more time on this later on when we get time. But basically, we've had the value trade which is played out. I know all of you guys understand value, but value means predominantly commodity companies. The oil stocks did not play up. But in the last 1 week, we are seeing the reversal of the value trade. We are seeing the institutions again going back to growth. So what we've had is a value trade, but for a very simple understanding, we are down to a 15,000 plus Nifty. Index earnings will be anything between 900 and 1,000. So we are trading at approximately now 15 times 24 earnings. The worst case has been 12 times. So we are within, in my view, 5 to 10% of the bottom. How to navigate this, I'll share my personal thoughts on it. These are my, again, personal thoughts, not that of Julius Baer. As we go ahead, I'll very quickly share how, in my opinion, one should think about investing in equity and fixed income. If we can go to the next slide. So this is what I was telling you. This is last month's slide, after which we had a correction. Stocks have corrected 30 to 50%. Large caps, HDFC is down 40%, ICICI is down 30%. I was talking to Neeraj, 30%. Ultratech is down from the peak. So we've had a fairly good correction. In my view, Sensex earnings are a complex mix of banking, commodities, consumption, and somewhere one thing weakens and the next thing comes back. So in my personal view, we've had a fair degree of correction. Now, it may continue to be weak for the next 1 to 2 quarters, but we are within 10% of the historic lows. That's where we are. And again, how to go about investing, as we go ahead, I'll share. If we can go to the next slide. Now, this is the most commonly spoken topic, but this is where the maximum challenge comes in. So if I can go to the next slide, if you can go. Now, look, this is a heat map. If you see, last 2 years, commodities has been the best performing. Before that, gold was the best performing. So I was telling you all when I started this presentation that we very often try and play God in terms of that this will do well and that will do well. But if you really go through this slide, no one has got it right. Like if you see emerging markets are the worst performing for the last 2 years. So there is a possibility that next year, emerging markets may really do well. I don't know how many of you know, in the last couple of weeks, commodities is down 30%. Gold, which should have actually done well in this major currency crisis, has not really done well. So the crux of this chart is that nobody really knows. And when you're investing money, please don't try and play God, So I'll quickly share with you how we are thinking about it. And if you can go to the next slide. Mahesh, if we can go, right. Thank you. Now, this is the easiest said thing, but in my view, the most complicated thing. And the reason is that as Homo sapiens, we are trained to act in the opposite direction. When things go down, we start panicking. And if you really ask me, in my 28 years with this firm, what we've really tried to get right is when is it that you should act against what your mind is very often telling you. Because traditionally, when we see danger, we are trained to run away. And that then transforms into investment decisions. And my suggestion to each one of you is that please work on getting this right. And then let not the news deter you from this. So a lot of our effort as private bankers, a lot of time which I spent is on this. And one very key part of asset allocation is also cutting your losses. It's not how many things you get right, but whenever out of 10, even if you make 2 mistakes, those 2 mistakes very often wipe out some of the best decisions which you've made. So getting your asset allocation right, making sure that you're able to act rationally, and very often your mind will tell you to do the reverse. A lot of effort goes in that. As we stand today globally, what we are doing, I mean, this is not for anyone in specific, but what we are globally telling our clients is that look at 50% equity, be 40% in debt, keep 5% cash, and have 5% of alternatives. So this is what we are telling globally. In India, we are a growth market, so possibly if you don't need money day to day to run your household, if you don't need money for the next 3 years, then what you could do is maybe have 50 to 60% in equity, 30% in debt, 10% in alternatives, and keep cash. Because again, the variant to keep 10% cash, But this is again a ballpark figure. It's not relevant for each one of you. I mean, we have clients who are also at 90% equity, But this is how we are currently recommending to our global clients on how they should go about asset allocation. If we can go to the next slide, please, Mahesh. Now, what should you do in equities? So, like I said, the value trade seems to be unwinding. Is it over or not? We really don't know. But if you see, financials have corrected a lot. I'm sure this audience knows, but we've had $39 billion of FIIs selling. And FIIs normally come and sell what is more liquid. And the highest selling has been in financials. So in my view, there's been a very sharp correction in financials. That's something which one can look as a part of the portfolio. Auto, for those who are looking at contrarian in the next 1 to 2 quarters, auto becomes a very interesting theme to look at. IT, you'll be surprised at the order flows. I've just spent time in Bangalore and Chennai, and there is no slowdown in that sector. And IT, I have never seen this kind of salary hikes as I've seen in the IT industry. Today, I mean, I was in Bhopal 2 weeks ago, and even in the tier 3 college, everyone has got hired. Before that, I was in Coimbatore. Everyone has got hired. So what is going to happen is that we were paying about $100 billion of salary to the IT professionals last year. In the next 1 to 2 years, these salaries will become $125 to $130 billion. This kind of money is going to have a cascading wealth effect across our economy in real estate, and I'll talk to it. I'll talk about it when I come to that part of it. So again, what I'm saying is that we've had good corrections in certain sectors, be it financials, be it auto, be it IT, and again, keep PLI at the back of your mind. It's a very big focus. When I meet promoters and some of the big businesses, they are very serious about it. And finally, a lot of credit goes to the resilient domestic investor, which has kept buying. And I don't know how many of you know, but the government has increased the PF equity component. So the Provident Fund is a huge investor in the country, and that has acted as a great buffer to the FIS selling. If we can go to the next slide. Now, what I personally feel, and please don't take this because I'm talking to a Calcutta audience, which is master in fixed income. I mean, the innovation I see in Calcutta in fixed income products, I haven't ever seen in my life, but I personally feel fixed income should be used for wealth preservation and not to grow wealth. For some of the smart investors, value stocks can serve as a counter to fixed income. Please don't take this as an investment advice, but NTPC, Coal India, if you see, are all trading at 9-10% dividend yields. Now we have products like the CPSE ETF, where if you invest in the ETF, the dividend comes in the form of capital gain. So again, this is not investment advice, but just an anecdotal example that you could look at some value stocks as way of fixed income for the Calcutta investors. I would not tell this to the others, but this is the sharpest group of investors that I'm talking to. But otherwise, please use debt right now for wealth preservation, because actually none of us knows what's going to happen in the fixed income market. So much money has got printed. It's the first time in our life that something of this scale has happened, and this is not a time to play God. Government yields are 7+, and you have 3 to 5 year maturity GSEC products which are available in the mutual fund format, which give you, with indexation, will give you that kind of return post-tax. So my suggestion is look at preserving wealth. Again, I don't want to play the prediction game, But currently, based on the circumstances, it doesn't look like that our 10-year will cross 8.25. But again, I'm not the expert. These are my personal views, and please don't take it very seriously. Please rely on your own common sense. If we can go to the next slide. I'm going to cover real estate in my investment themes. So Mahesh, next slide, please. See, will there be inflation? Will there be stagflation? Now, just for the benefit of this audience, in stagflation, you lose pricing power. So you buy businesses which are able to hike prices. A lot of businesses are not able to pass on price hikes. So if we are heading for stagflation, look for businesses which have pricing power. Now, will it be recession? Will it be inflation? So inflation will be there. But if there is inflation and there is no growth, typically it results in stagflation. You may see that in the Western world. So again, like I said, look for businesses which have pricing power. You have your chairman itself represents a great business which has pricing power. But please, again, that's not an investment advice. But again, look at very, very strong businesses. Financials, you've had a sharp sell-off. I feel financials are at very attractive levels. In my view, credit will go, economy will grow. I was just now with one of the largest banks chairmen 2 weeks ago, and in all our view, growth will come back. So I think financials are the lead indicator of the economy. I think that's something to look at. Value stocks, I spoke about it. Look at as an alternative to debt. Predominantly, these are public sectors. So don't look at equity-like returns in that. But again, I think some of these stocks are again trading at very, very attractive multiples. Maheshji, next slide, please. Commodity, again, asset owners are again predominantly government. Government has all the commodity businesses. What happens to currencies? We don't have an answer. And depending on what your level of comfort is, I think 5 to 10% of gold and silver makes a lot of sense. But please make sure that this is an insurance. Gold should have gone up in this crisis, but gold has not gone anywhere. And very difficult to predict. But God forbid if what Druckenmiller or some of these guys are predicting, if we have these challenges, then I think gold becomes a great insurance. So please look at gold from that perspective. Indian real estate is a very, very interesting animal. I think people from Calcutta understand this better on various ways of financing, structuring, what happens. But we've had 3-4 very big structural changes, and it's important to understand. First of all, the cost of transaction in real estate has gone up very high. When you buy a new property, GST is 5%, and then you have stamp duty. So what is happening is a lot of real investors are now coming into this market. The second thing which I said is that the IT spend and the IT salaries are going to really surprise us. And the moment you get consumption power, you go and buy houses. And when I go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, I'm amazed at the way real estate is doing. The third is that various instruments which my community is creating for real estate. So you had we've had InvITs created for the investment assets. We have REITs which are getting created. So a lot of work is going on financialization of real estate. So this is what equities used to be in the 90s. When you used to buy and sell equity, there was a 20% margin which was there. But if the government is able to bring in more transparency, we are trying to digitalize all the land records. Now, you understand that land has a lot of the unaccounted money in it, so it may not be that easy, but if actually we land up digitalizing land records. So this is a sector which I think will see a major transformation. We've already seen a big rally. Like our clients have just bought a lot of land and second and third homes in the last 1 year. So I feel that there will be a bit of cool down in real estate at this point of time. But it's an asset class which does well at the time of investing. Please invest only money which you have for 5 to 10 years in it, because if you get the cycle wrong, then the next cycle comes 7 years later. But overall, we are positive. There's a massive consolidation which has happened in real estate. The companies in the capital markets, very few of them are left. And again, some of them you could look at. Maheshji, if we can go to the next slide. Of your equity portfolio, I think a 10% global investment should be looked at. We now have global mutual funds available. For Julius Baer also, we have 2 of our global funds which we brought to India. And some of these businesses are not available in India. Like the top tech companies, the innovators in pharmaceuticals, and we've had a huge correction there. So I think a 10% global portfolio is definitely warranted for. Please make sure that you're buying or investing in funds which actually complement your portfolio. But in every client portfolio, we are looking at it. There is an LRS scheme which is available where every year $250,000, roughly 1.5 to 2 crores, you can take and invest overseas. Do take advantage of it, because that is a genuine diversification which you can provide to your portfolio. I think 2-3 themes which are playing out globally will have serious implications. The first is longevity. Everybody in the world is going to live longer. Most governments are panicking. I was on one of the panels of the government because all pension schemes, everybody has planned for people living up to 70 to 80 years, but 80s is now the new 70s, 70s is now the new 60s, and we have so many 80, 85, 90, 95, 100-year celebrations which is going on. And for longevity, a lot of health, it will have serious implications on fixed income and healthcare. And as a theme, I think there will be an opportunity to invest in it. The second is the culture of borrowing is coming in. You go to a store, you just borrow, you buy now, pay later. And again, I think that will have big implications in fintech businesses, in banks, etc. I think that's the second big theme. And the third is when I meet the youth, their feeling of instant gratification. They have a problem, they want to fix it. You want delivery in 10 minutes, You don't want to wait and plan the next day and go to the shop and buy things. I think these 3 themes will have a lot of implications in businesses. And I would keep a lookout of it. I'll quickly talk about blockchain. I think blockchain is here to stay. As chartered accountants, please study it. I think it's a very important asset class. In Julius Baer, we have started onboarding digital assets. What will happen to crypto? The answer is I don't know. Before the crash, we were telling clients to invest up to 1 to 2% of their portfolio in crypto. In India, as you know, we cannot invest in crypto, but I'm telling you about globally. I think the moment sovereigns start backing crypto, that's when one can look at it. But currently, I have no idea on what's going to happen there. I have never seen so much wealth being wiped out in internet and crypto as what has happened. I don't know how many of you are aware, but 80 to 90% of wealth in the US has been lost in these asset classes. It's something unheard of which has happened. But blockchain is something I would advise all of you as professionals to study. There's very interesting work happening here. We have a team which is focused on this. We are working on it. In Switzerland, we have invested in a global bank. The Swiss government has a bank, Zipa Bank. We are investors in it. So it's an asset class to keep a lookout. Maheshji, next slide. Fixed income, like I told you, please keep it simple. The 2 to 5 year maturity is the space in which you should be. There are some very good defined maturity or roll down maturity products which are available with mutual funds. That is the only thing I would recommend to you at this point of time. Maheshji, next slide, please. So this is broadly what I had to cover. I would end, I'll talk to you a bit about Julius Baer because I have to tell you a bit about our firm, but please diversify across asset classes. What we are witnessing is an unheard and unprecedented event. Never has so much money got printed in the history of the world. And at some areas, there is growth. Some areas, there is pullback. So we are living in very, very interesting times. Fortunately, we are in one of the best places where one can be in. But please diversify your wealth right now across asset classes because Hindi में कैसे कहते हैं कि ऊँट किस करवट बैठेगा, depending on that, then you can change your portfolio. So keep some equity, keep some fixed income, keep some real estate, keep some gold, and keep some cash because depending on which way things shape up, you can change your portfolio. Julius Baer, in a way, is Rahul Dravid of investing. We are not the Sehwags. We are not the smart guys. We always come in second, third. We are not the first guy with an idea. Maheshji, if I can take you to, if you can go to the next slide. So we are the world's largest pure private bank. What does pure private bank mean? We do only one thing. We only manage wealth across the world. We've done that for 130 years. We roughly manage $500 billion of assets. And the Indian franchise for us is about 5%, of that. It's a very profitable company. I'm given to understand for 100 years, we have never skipped a dividend. So it's a conservative bank. 40% of Julius Baer's revenue comes from Asia, and we are present across 25 countries. There are three things which we think are very relevant for Indians. One, we think Indians will become global. In every family, आप देखेंगे एक आदमी हमेशा विदेश में रहे या बाहर है. So हमें लगता है Indians की wealth बाहर भी रहेगी और India में भी रहेगी. And we think we are able to provide both that, So our tagline is big enough to matter and small enough to care. So your wealth is custodized by a reputed institution. At the same time, we are nimble-footed to manage money for you. The second thing is, along with wealth, we think people are going to be looking at asset side, liability side, how to invest, what to do, how to structure, how to set up their trusts, how to plan their wealth. And that is where we work very closely with chartered accountants. We partner with almost 10 to 15 chartered accountants across the country. And we think it's going to be a very, very important aspect. And third is lending. When you're wealthy, you borrow. Globally, we are a bank. In India, we have a NBFC, but we only lend against financial assets. So again, as a private bank, we would lend to the promoter, but we would not lend to the business. The business lending is done by a commercial bank. Maheshi, the next slide. Okay. Like I said, we are present all across geographies. In India, we are in 7 locations. We hope to be in 20 locations in the next 2 years. Next slide, please, Mahesh. Like Sangeeta said, it's actually, Sangeeta, my 28th year with this firm. We were DSP Merrill Lynch till 2015, and then we got acquired by Julius Baer. So the entire Julius Baer team has moved over to, the entire DSP Merrill Lynch wealth management team is now Julius Baer. So we've been in India now for almost 30 years. Our average clientele size is about 3 million. Most of our advisors are with 10 to 15 years vintage. Like I said, we are the conservative guys. It's a more advice and research driven approach. We maintain a low profile because in the business of wealth, and nobody understands it better than chartered accountants, that it's the client which has to be prominent and not his advisor. If we can go to the last slide, Maheshi. So this is basically what we try and do. We are open architecture. This business requires customization. As all of you will know that every client is different. So we have scale, but at the same time, we can tinker and customize a bit of business, and we try and combine 4 pillars. So investment discipline, we have an open architecture approach. What an open architecture means is that we only earn fees from our clients. So you're then representing the client. You don't manufacture things on your own because then you become conflicted. In India, a lot of wealth managers actually were manufacturers and then they became wealth managers. A pure private bank means they don't manufacture things. They work with product providers, but they are themselves not a product provider. And again, I think there are 3 things which people are looking, which the regulator is looking in for financial services. And it's my advice to all of you also. First is be very clear about conflict of interest, because if you have a conflict of interest somewhere, you will compromise the client's interest. The second is suitability. Are you giving the right product to the right client? And third is transparency. I think these are the 3 pillars in which we've done our business, and we've tried to build that. Last year, we were fortunate in Euromoney. Out of the 16 categories and 14 categories, we were voted as number 1, but awards keep changing over a period of time. I again want to end by thanking all of you before we open to the question. It's my real honor. I have a great connection to Calcutta and Calcutta to Bombay. I do make it a point to travel twice a year to Calcutta to learn things. Whenever I have a dilemma, the answer comes in Calcutta. So I'm really excited, and I'm very grateful that I got this time to talk to all of you. Whenever I start talking, I don't stop. So I see Neeraj, I have taken double the time. My apologies on that, but I'm again thankful to all of you. Thank you so much for inviting. Over to you, Pankaj.
Thanks, Ashish. I must say it was definitely crisp and to the point presentation. Participants will take questions now. Anybody who wants to ask question can raise their hand, and we will call upon you. In the meantime, I have a couple of questions of my own. So, Mr. Ashish, you have definitely covered all the aspects of probably all the asset class that is currently available. I probably want to ask you one question is, what is the theme which you think would be would work in next, let's say, 5 or 10 years from now, which probably one should invest now, and obviously with certain risk attached to it. But what do you think was the biggest theme that would work in next 5 to 10 years?
See, if you see, I mean, what is it that the government is really trying to do? We had demonetization, we had the GST reform, we had RERA which came in, we have this whole transparency laws. So my suggestion is that not to bet on one theme, but basically what is going to happen if you really ask me, I see a revival of the manufacturing sector. I'm trying to think what businesses to invest in, because a lot of good companies are unlisted. Like yesterday, I was with one of the families in Chennai, and I said that, look, please go public. We don't have enough good quality manufacturing businesses. So, Pankaj, if you really ask me personally, what would I do with my money? I'm looking for some of these manufacturing businesses. Manufacturing took a backseat. It is very, I mean, some of you who've done businesses and you work for manufacturing, it wasn't easy. The number of people you have to deal with, the challenges that you face in the factories, etc. And the world is looking for China plus one. Now, will we get that spot? I don't have an answer, because Vietnam also wants to go for it. Bangladesh also wants to go for it. Philippines is also trying to go for it. But my gut is that our environment is working towards it. So if there was one thing, Pankaj, I would look at manufacturing. I mean, that would be my thing. And I'm looking at increasing that in my own portfolio.
Great. One more question from me, and then we'll take questions. So we talk about alternate investment like cryptocurrencies, or probably investing some way into metaverse and stuff like that. And you also mentioned that you are suggesting certain portion in cryptos. How can, from product wise, how can one actually invest into cryptocurrencies, or what should be the way for a investor like us? How should we move forward to invest into cryptocurrencies?
No, so Pankaj, I'll take 2 minutes to clarify alternative investments, because that is a misunderstood asset class. So traditionally, I mean, we used to do a lot of alternative investing in India. Your cousin was setting up a business, we would give him money. Some family member was setting up a business, you would give him money. The kacha pakka hisab also you would understand, right? So I mean, we had alternative fixed income products, we had alternative equity products. Now, over a period of trust decline, and that has come in the form of seed funding, venture capital, private equity, etc. Now, in my view, in the last 10 years, globally, this asset class was 1 trillion, and I think it's 4 or 5 trillion or some crazy number which is there. So I feel it's an asset class which will become very big in India. But this is the most illiquid asset class. This is an asset class where there's no information available. One of the leading edtech companies, I'm given to understand that the auditor has not, I mean, a lot of these edtech companies, the auditors are still, looking at the accounts, etc. So what I'm saying is, when you're getting into these businesses, you need to have a longer term. So alternatives as an asset class, if you don't have 5 to 10 year money, you should not look at, or if you're early stage of life of wealth creation, फिर आपको ऐसे झटका लगता है वो आपको 5 साल पीछे कर देता है मतलब. So alternatives as an asset class, I think is very exciting. एक का 10 दिखता है, everybody tells you their success stories, they don't tell you their failure stories. And I feel we are heading into very turbulent times. So at this point of time, whenever you don't have clarity and you're in the clouds and you don't know what is going to happen, it is best to be conservative. So I think it should be there as an asset class, which is venture capital, private equity, etc., etc. But money which you don't need 5 to 10 years, money which you can write off without impacting your consumption. Crypto, I would not advise you. I've met very senior officials in Reserve Bank and the government and SEBI, and they are not for crypto. So my advice to you would be not to do crypto at this point of time. Let the regulations come, let there be clarity. But otherwise, if you wish to do under the LRS route, I would say buy a basket of 4 to 5 cryptos. So what we are telling clients, there are 10 leading cryptos. See, I don't know whether, Shweta, have we had any recent crypto publication? Maybe we can share our last report with Pankaj. We can share that last report, but please send it to only people who understand. We'll share that with you. So what we are saying is, Pankaj, आप basket खरीदो of cryptos. पर आप लोग सब CAs हैं, आप income tax department को जानते हैं, वो जो फॉर्म होता है फॉरेन इनकम का, वो देख के ही ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ जाता है. मतलब दैट्स द ओनली फॉर्म आई सी इन माय इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न, बिकॉज उसमें क्रिमिनल लायबिलिटी, ये लायबिलिटी, वो लायबिलिटी सब कुछ रहती है. सो माय पर्सनल एडवाइस वुड बी नॉट टू डू क्रिप्टो. but if you do, buy a basket of it. And the reason I'm saying that is we don't have clarity from the government of how, whether they are supportive, not supportive. I mean, they very clearly come out with that. But alternatives as an asset class, definitely. पर अगर आपकी अभी इनकम शुरू हुई है, आपने अभी घर खरीदा है, अभी वो किया, तो फिर मत करिए. But see, what has happened, Pankaj, is you've had corrections and valuations in listed markets. Unlisted में अभी भी, जैसे अभी मैं कई promoters को मिलता हूं, उनको लगता ही नहीं उनका business की value कम होगी. तो एक बार थोड़ा correction हो जाए, फिर ये asset class अच्छी हो जाएगी. I'm very positive actually on alternatives. It's a business we are very excited about and we are really looking at building it. But please spend some time learning on it, educate yourself. My advice to all you guys would be to focus on blockchain, learn about blockchain, etc. That's a more exciting space, and then crypto is a subset of it. Metaverse वगैरह है, हमने भी अभी एक analyst conference रखी थी metaverse में, पर उसके लिए आपको मुझसे ज्यादा होशियार आदमी को बुलाना चाहिए. मैं सही आदमी नहीं हूँ, और यंगर लड़के को बुलाइए, थोड़ा यंगर हो तो I think he'll be much better than that.
Thanks, Ashish. And points well taken. I'll call upon Sangeeta Jhunjhunwala. You can ask a question. Sangeeta, you're on mute.
Yeah. Hi, Ashish. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's right. I can.
Thank you so much for your time, Ashish. All your points very well taken. Now, just a small thing. You said you are very optimistic on manufacturing. So I understand from you that next 2 quarters are going to maybe see the bottom of equities in India. And after that, we might see a healthy upwards correction. And in that, you have pointed out manufacturing might be a good sector to start investing in. Is there any particular sector in manufacturing? For example, I will go back to basics, roti, kapda or makan. Ye teen, so I think we have all now figured it out and it has gone to IT and the higher areas. But in roti, kapda or makan, if there is anything in terms of food industry or in terms of textiles or in terms of housing, do you see any particular company which catches your eye in that sector?
See, रोटी कपड़ा और मकान में आप टेलीकॉम भी ऐड कर दीजिए, क्योंकि वो भी आजकल हो गया रोटी कपड़ा और मकान और टेलीकॉम है. तो टेलीकॉम में बहुत कम प्लेयर्स हैं, पर अगर आप उनमें से एक टेलीकॉम बिजनेस देखेंगे, वहाँ प्रमोटर ही खुद काफी पैसे इन्फ्यूज कर रहा है. So see, I actually presented to you where you should put your money. There were investment themes which I defined, and that is where you should put your money. पंकज ने मुझे पूछा 10 साल के लिए कहाँ पैसे लगाओ, तो वहाँ मैंने मैन्युफैक्चरिंग देखा.
नहीं, मुझे तो अगले 2 साल के लिए कहाँ लगाना है, आप मुझे
अगले 2 साल के लिए मैंने आपको, अगर आप देखोगे, एक मिनट मैं आपको बताता हूँ, मैंने आपको बताया जैसे फाइनेंशियल्स बहुत करेक्ट हो गए, करेक्ट. अगर आप फाइनेंशियल्स देखोगे वो बहुत करेक्ट हो गए, तो आप अगर आप 2 साल में देखोगे, सो सम ऑफ दीज बैंक्स, अभी श्वेता यहाँ बैठी है, वो मुझे स्टॉक्स नहीं बोलने देगी, तो फिर मेरी अप्रेजल हो जाएगी उसके. बट फाइनेंशियल्स में अगर आप कई बड़े बैंक्स देखेंगे तो उनमें ऑलरेडी 30-40% का करेक्शन हो गया है. तो मैंने आपसे कहा है कि आप फाइनेंशियल्स देखिए, फिर आप कमोडिटी एसेट ओनर्स यू कैन सी एज अ हेज, मतलब फिक्स्ड इनकम के ऑल्टरनेटिव्स में आप कमोडिटी ओनर्स देख सकती है, एंड प्राइसिंग पावर में आपके कई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बिजनेसेस आ जाते हैं. जैसे अगर आप कई इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कंपनीज देखेंगी, तो अगर प्राइसिंग पावर है तो स्टैगफ्लेशन का जो मैंने आपको बताया उसमें कई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनीज आ जाती हैं. So my suggestion is stick to the basics. The large caps have corrected 30, 40, 50%, So for the next 2 years, what I would do with my money is just stick to the basics. Like, before you came in, some of the largest cement businesses are down 30, 40%. Now that is manufacturing right today to you. एंड कोई डिमांड कम नहीं होने वाली. अगर आप रियल एस्टेट देखें, गवर्नमेंट का रोड प्रोजेक्शन देखें, सब देखें, तो सिंपल रखिए संगीता. फिलहाल मेरा सजेशन है आप अभी बड़े कंपनीज को देखिए. टेलीकॉम में आप सबसे जो अच्छा प्लेयर है वो देखिए. प्योर और कंफ्यूज जो 5 बिजनेसेस करते हैं वो मत करिए. वो 5 बिजनेसेस हम लोग भी इवेल्युएट नहीं कर सकते. जो कंपनी 1 या 2 बिजनेस करती है वो कर सकते हैं. पर सारे, मतलब आप अगर देखेंगे कंस्ट्रक्शन और इंजीनियरिंग में सबसे बड़ी कंपनी 30-40% करेक्ट हो गई है. तो या करिए, या लार्ज कैप फंड्स आप देख सकती हैं, फिलहाल मेरे ख्याल से वो कर सकते हैं. तो देखिए, अब यहाँ से 10% और गिरेगा, 5% और गिरेगा, वो तो हमें समझ नहीं आता है ना क्या होगा. बट कॉमन सेंस ये कहती है कि भाई देश चलता रहा है, कुछ खत्म नहीं हुआ है। अगर आप न्यूज चैनल नहीं देखें तो आप पूरे घूमेंगे तो आपको ट्रैफिक ही उतना मिलता है, प्लेन में सीट नहीं मिलती है, होटल में रहने की जगह नहीं मिलती है। यू नो आई मीन so if you see hotel businesses, like they have come out, I think, out of a 10-year low cycle there, but very quickly, if you can give me a minute, हमारे जो head of equities हैं, जो ये हमारा actually पैसा रन करते हैं, I have Nitin here. Nitin, you want to very quickly answer that question? He is more math sir, big picture वाला, वो actually invest करते हैं, तो I requested him to be here.
Helpful. That would be very helpful for everybody.
So I think Shweta, what Ashish has covered, actually he's covered a lot of, and he's giving a lot of indications, right? I think अगर आप एक देखें तो जो financials की बात कर रहे हैं, financials is almost 40-45% of the weightage in our markets. तो जब अगर markets को चलना है तो financials का चलना बहुत जरूरी है. So within that, we think that most of the financials, as the credit cycle is picking up and the economy is picking up, they've cleaned up their balance sheets. The credit cycle is picking up, and they are probably at the strongest point. Their balance sheet. So एक तो वो हो गया. दूसरा आशीष आपको बता रहे थे कि जो टेक्नोलॉजी में इतना सारा जो बूम चल रहा है और हायरिंग चल रही है, तो अगर उसका जो कमेंसरेट इतने सारे लोग एम्प्लॉय हो रहे हैं, राइट? सो बिसाइड्स जो रियल एस्टेट कंपनीज है, वो पूरा जो कंजम्पशन सेक्टर है, बिल्डिंग मटेरियल्स, होम इम्प्रूवमेंट, retail finance, mortgage companies, all of these will also do very, very well, as Ashish was alluding to. Cement is a classic case, जैसे आशीष ने कहा. अगर आज देखें तो सीमेंट कंपनीज है, जो अच्छी वाली सीमेंट कंपनीज है, वो 11 से $1150 रुपीस पर टन एबिटा कमाती है. बिकॉज ऑफ कॉस्ट प्रेशर्स इनका एबिटा ये टाइम कुछ 900-950 के करीब आ जाएगा. तो यहाँ पे जो आर्बिट्राज आपको दिखता है कि आप उसको डाउन साइकिल में खरीद रहे हैं, एंड सीमेंट आपको पता है कहीं इंपोर्ट तो होता नहीं है और कंस्ट्रक्शन बूम है, तो इट्स ओनली अ मैटर ऑफ टाइम जब ये अपने प्राइसेस इंक्रीज करते जाएंगे. और कंसोलिडेशन सेक्टर में आ चुका है, एक बड़ा प्लेयर ऑलरेडी 2 बड़े सीमेंट कंपनीज को ले चुका है, उसको अपना पे बैक देखना है. तो जो पे बैक, तो सीमेंट प्राइसेस राइज होंगी और इनके जो एबिटा पर टन है वो आप, इट्स अ ग्रेट कॉन्ट्रा सिक्लिकल प्ले दैट यू शुड लुक एट प्लेइंग नाउ, श्वेता. तो ये अगर आप थोड़े आइडियाज पे फोकस करेंगे तो, और जैसे आशीष ने कहा, काफी सारे स्टॉक्स 25 से 30% करेक्ट हो चुके हैं. अगर आप लार्जेस्ट कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी को देखें, उसमें बड़ी करेक्शन आ चुकी है और उस कंपनी ने अपना बड़ा गोल दे दिया है कि उसको क्या करना है आगे जाके, एंड सो फोर्थ. सो मेरा मानना है कि ये काफी सारे, चाहे आप, और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की जहां तक आशीष से आपकी बात हो रही थी, ये एक मल्टी ईयर प्ले है, ठीक है. तो इसमें बहुत सारे सेक्टर्स हैं, चाहे वो आप, टेक्सटाइल थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट सेक्टर है, तो इसमें आपको इनोवेटिवली टेक्सटाइल मशीनरी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को देखिए जहाँ पे बेनिफिट आ सकता है. फार्मास्यूटिकल्स है, वहाँ पे अगर वापस आपको एक पुल बैक अभी दिखाई पड़ेगा क्योंकि बहुत करेक्शन आ चुका है. सो आई थिंक काफी सारे सेक्टर्स का ओवरव्यू हमने आपको दे चुके हैं.
नहीं, I think you covered it very well and you told me all the sectors जहाँ पर हम अभी देख सकते हैं because of the recent correction. And I think a lot of people are waiting to ask questions, so we will continue with the chat with them. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for your advice on this. Thanks,
Nitin. And next question is coming from Neeraj Maheshwari. Neeraj, you are on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for this wonderful presentation. I think it was crisp and to the point. We could all relate to all the points. So I was just thinking a few points. So we are seeing, so as you would know, India is a country where more than 50% of the population is less than 30 years of age. And as you also rightly pointed out, we are seeing a very different shift. The earlier generation was more focused on saving for the next few generations, and the younger lot is more on kind of spending money for the experience. So they want to live life now and here. So how do you see that trend impacting the overall financial market? Because saving is now converting into expenditure, which in a way is good for industries. But how do you see that impacting the overall economic situation in the country?
तो नीरज, अपना सेविंग्स रेट अभी भी हाई है कंपेयर टू द वर्ल्ड. अभी भी अपन 25-27% प्लस है. बट बेसिकली ये जो अप्रोच होती है, it works very good for the capital markets. Now, if you see Americans, they not only spend their own money, but they borrow money also and spend, right? So typically it works very well, you know. So अभी आप देखोगे जैसे ये PVR Inox का merger हो गया. So I think you'll see large businesses being formed, big opportunities, you know. But how it translates into capital market, Nitin, you want to very quickly take it, and then I could add, you know, you want to very quickly answer this question.
तो नीरज, इसमें एक आप देखेंगे एक सबसे बड़ा इम्पैक्ट तो आपने देखा है जिस हिसाब से म्यूचुअल फंड के अंदर इनफ्लोज आए हैं, जिस हिसाब की सेलिंग हमने देखी है. अगर पहले ऐसी सेलिंग हम देखते तो हमारा मार्केट सॉरी बहुत ज्यादा करेक्ट हो चुका होता. पर क्योंकि इतना बड़ा बफर हुआ है इन टर्म्स ऑफ मनी फ्लोइंग इनटू म्यूचुअल फंड, व्हिच इज ऑल दीज सेविंग्स, आल्सो द यंगर जनरेशन हैज अ मोर पॉजिटिव आउटलुक टू इक्विटी because they have seen the wealth creation impact equity over the last few many years. तो एक तो risk appetite ज्यादा है, दूसरा the willingness to come out there and invest aggressively. By the way, ये जो generation है ना, काफी savvy generation है in terms of even investing into all these new alternate assets. आप अगर एक rough poll लेंगे तो I think the maximum investment that whatever has happened in India also towards the crypto has happened in this younger generation, and so on and so forth. So मेरा मानना है from a capital market perspective it's very good, from a savings perspective also. ये जो generation है वो अब अपने ऊपर खर्च कर रही है. तो आपको जो एक अगर आप देखें बहुत नोटिसेबल, पहले की जनरेशन थी वो एक वैल्यू फॉर मनी चाहती थी. ये जो जनरेशन है वो अगर आप जो, और ये सब कॉर्पोरेट्स ने भी डिस्कवर किया है. अगर आप देखें कि अगर जो जैसे पहले कार कंपनीज आती थी तो पुराने मॉडल्स लाती थी इंडिया में, सोचती थी कि भाई इंडिया में हम बेचेंगे. लेकिन अब आपको जो ग्लोबली जब मॉडल लॉन्च होता है इंडिया में लॉन्च होता है, तो इट्स अ जनरेशन व्हिच वांट्स टू स्पेंड, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू आर सीइंग दिस होल कंजम्पशन बूम. और प्लस आईटी में जो पूरा है यही जनरेशन है. जो वेज हाइक्स जो पहले जैसे आशीष बता रहे थे, पहले 3 लाख रुपया सैलरी होती थी ऑन एन एवरेज एक फ्रेशर की, अब 5-6 लाख रुपया सैलरी होने चुकी है, दिखाई पड़ रही है. तो ये एक कंजम्पशन लेड बूम जो इंडिया का जो कोर स्ट्रेंथ था, जिसने इंडिया को हमेशा इंसुलेट करके रखा था ग्लोबली. 65% ऑफ आवर जीडीपी इज येट कंजम्पशन, डोमेस्टिक कंजम्पशन. वो हमको हमेशा ये बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग सपोर्ट लेता है. तो इकोनॉमी सपोर्ट एंड कैपिटल मार्केट सपोर्ट, ये दोनों काफी बेनिफिशियल रहते हैं.
See, 3 examples I'll give you. एक बोट देखिए, बोट एक म्यूजिक कंपनी है. अगर आप देखेंगे ना, सडनली इट्स बिकम अ यूनिकॉर्न. एक मामा अर्थ है, आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो, ये मदर ग्रुप्स के थ्रू मार्केटिंग करते हैं. इट्स नाउ आई मीन आई वाज रीडिंग इन द पेपर, इट्स अ $2-3 बिलियन कंपनी. और आपको नितिन ने ऑटो का एग्जांपल दिया. सो आई थिंक I am worried about my son. He has a similar problem, but for the economy, it is good. As parents, I think it's a big worry. As a father, I have a big worry actually. So just today only, I was asking him, how do you make your ends meet? Because you don't take money, and I find whenever I come, I never meet you. You're out for dinners, etc. Personally, मुझे लगता है एक बहुत बड़ा शॉक आने वाला है रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स. ये सबको लगता है पैसा बनाना इजी है, सब एफएनओ में एक्टिव हैं, डेरिवेटिव्स में एक्टिव हैं, आईपीएल खोलो तो सब इनकी एड्स चलती रहती हैं. एक बड़ा शॉक लगेगा, फिर सीखेंगे उसके बाद. बट जैसे नितिन ने कहा, फाइनेंशियलाइजेशन ऑफ सेविंग्स है. लाइक व्हेन आई मीट पीपल, सब डेरिवेटिव्स कर रहे हैं, एफएनओ कर रहे हैं, जॉब कर रहे हैं, दोपहर में अपने ट्रेड्स डाल रहे हैं. एक जरा ऑलरेडी इनको एक झटका लग चुका है मेरे ख्याल से. लॉट ऑफ वेल्थ हैज गॉट इरोडेड. एक और पड़ेगा, सब पड़ा है. बट आई थिंक दे आर हियर टू स्टे एंड वी लाइक इट ओवरऑल. ये मेरा पर्सनल व्यू है. And as a father, I'm concerned about this consumption.
I tend to agree with you. So my daughter is also in her MBA second year, and 1 month of holidays home has been like trips to Rishikesh, and she's currently in Goa. So this generation just wants to enjoy and have fun. So
Thank you. Good.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for that
Thank you.
enlightenment.
Thank you.
Since we are almost exceeding time. I'll just take one more question and then we'll close. So Nilakshi, if you can ask a question.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Mr. Ashish, for the wonderful session. Just one question I have. In your presentation, you mentioned that we should also invest in geographies outside of India, so other geographies. So any specific geography that we are looking at for the purpose of investing, like China or
Sorry,
US, or any specific geography?
can you just repeat it? You're saying which international geographies to invest in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, US equities are good ना, बड़ा correction हो गया. चाइना के बारे में नॉलेज नहीं है यार, समझ ही नहीं आता. आप जा ही नहीं सकते हो कंट्री में, सब एनेक्डोटल है. तो बहुत चाइना एक्सपर्ट्स हैं, पर मैं चाइना एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूँ. मतलब तो क्या है कि वी हैव लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च ऑन चाइना, बट यूएस में अपन को पता चलता है, लोग आ रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं, आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलती है. मतलब यूरोप हैज गॉट सम ग्रेट वैल्यू पिक्स, बहुत अच्छे इंजीनियरिंग, बहुत अच्छे बिजनेसेस हैं. 10 साल 20 साल, जैसे एक कंज्यूमर कंपनी है इंडिया में जो 100 पी पे है, जो होल्डिंग कंपनी है वो 10 पी पे है वहाँ पे यूरोप में. सो मेरा सजेशन है कि आप ये मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंज्यूमर बिजनेसेस वहाँ देखिए, मतलब, और यूएस देखिए. सिंपल है, बहुत बड़ा मार्केट है, बड़ा करेक्शन हो गया है, समझ आता है, right? We are all in the early stages of wealth creation. I mean, so not to be very adventurous. Question from someone saying कि ये Nykaa, Zomato वगैरह, तो I feel you should watch out for all these new age businesses. कहाँ पे bottom होंगे बड़ा मुश्किल है कहना. मतलब Nykaa क्या प्राइस पे लो, Zomato क्या प्राइस पे लो, पॉलिसी बाजार क्या प्राइस पे लो. मे बी आपको इनके साथ अलग से सेशन करना पड़ेगा, वो एक्चुअली ये सब करता है. पर मेरा सजेशन है इसमें वो जो मैंने 5 से 10% का बकेट था, बिकॉज सम ऑफ दीज बिजनेसेस विल बिकम वेरी बिग. दे आर ग्रेट बिजनेस मॉडल्स, बट वेट एंड वॉच ना. आई मीन, like Nitin said, there are tried and tested businesses which are available, so look at it. But I would look at simple geographies, you know. I mean, China, we are all looking, we are very bullish on China, FIs are going to China, but I mean, I don't have a view. Personally, when I see it bottoming out and turning around, then I'll put my money. I think that's fine. And then you want to very quickly say,
so Ashish, on this new age businesses, सिर्फ मेरा एक ही एडवाइस है. देखिए, I see a parallel to what we are seeing today with what happened in 2001. जब उस टाइम पे आपको याद है काफी सारे .com कंपनीज आए थे. There were companies like pets.com. उस टाइम पे Amazon was also one of those companies. So the trend is real. इसमें से विनर कौन होगा अब कहना बड़ा मुश्किल है, बिकॉज ये सब कंपनीज इस टाइम पे आए हैं जहां पे देयर वाज सरप्लस कैपिटल एंड मोर एंड इजी कैपिटल अवेलेबल. Those times have changed. अब capital is going to become tougher to get. It's going to be more scarce because globally central banks have changed their stance. So अगर आपको ये new age businesses में invest ही करना है, मेरा मानना है कि काफी सारे अच्छे businesses जहाँ पे strong cash flows, growth prospects है, वो अभी आपको available है. और जहाँ तक ये new age businesses हैं, आप थोड़ा टाइम रुकिए. जैसे बिजनेस मॉडल्स इवॉल्व होते हैं, ये कंपनीज ये टाइटर कंडीशन में कैसे मैनेज करते हैं. डोंट फॉरगेट कि वॉरेन बफेट ने भी अमेजोन में बहुत लेट इन्वेस्ट किया या एप्पल में, पर उसने बहुत पैसा कमाया उस पे. तो एक बार उनका मॉडल थोड़ा एस्टैब्लिश हो जाता है, ग्रोथ इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी लार्ज. तो आई वुड से वेट फॉर सम टाइम, पर एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेसेस आपको बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी दे रही है अभी.
One last question. Someone asked me on PSU stocks. I can't speak on stocks, but I told you, look at CPSC ETF. That is an interesting thing. Have a look at it. Shweta, I can recommend ETFs. I can't. Anyway, you can look at, please go by your research view, but it has got all the government, look at the government ETFs, some of the ETFs government.
You just one, Ashish, if I can ask you. Hello, Pankaj, may I ask him?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Ashish, just one important thing. You made a mention about more of the manufacturing side, or tried and tested stock. One thing I wanted to know, is it advisable to churn the portfolio from time to time? Because many times we get opportunities or a spark in the market wherein we can churn the portfolio of reaping some profits out of the holdings actually. Is it an advisable feature in the current times?
Yeah, see, I have created my wealth by investing long term. Currently, I think a bit of tactical investing is not bad, but see, we treat tactical as 1 to 3 years, not monthly or 2 monthly. So हम strategic देखते हैं 3 year plus, 1 to 3 years I would say tactical. Nitin, very quickly you want to tell him क्या करना है? Very quickly, I think
ये जो आप जो क्विक चर्न की बात कर रहे हैं, ये तो हमको कलकत्ता आके आपसे सीखना पड़ेगा, because that is your fault. But my point is what Ashish said is that, you know, over a period of time, अगर आप देखेंगे, right, there are a few decisions which change outcomes in life, and it is best to focus on optimizing those decisions. A lot of the other decisions basically है ना, हम अपने आप को busy रखने के लिए करते हैं. This is the long established process in life. So we only would advise a churn if anything has changed fundamentally. Either valuations have gone completely out of whack or fundamentals have worsened. Use those two yardsticks to decide whether you want to do any churn in the portfolio.
अपनी गलतियां बेचते जाओ. नॉर्मली क्या होता है, अपन अपनी गलतियों को एवरेज करते रहते हैं और अच्छे शेयर बेच देते हैं. उस पर बड़ी मेहनत की है हम लोग सब ने. क्या हो जाता है, आपका अच्छा शेयर बिक जाता है और जो नीचे जाता रहता है आप उसको एवरेज करते जाते हो. फिर आप बोलते हो यार मैं तो इक्विटी ने मुझे डिसइल्यूजन कर दिया. तो टैक्टिकल अपनी गलतियों में रहो, मेरा ये सजेशन है. वो कैसे करो, वो बड़ा मुश्किल काम है, हम लोग सब सीखने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. नितिन को आता है, मैं अभी भी सीख रहा हूँ.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So, Neeraj, if I may be allowed to ask a question.
We'll take this, but this should be the last question for the session.
Okay. I don't know if it's already been asked. I joined in a little late. But Mr. Gumashta, I would request you to tell us a little about the macro scenario and whether or not it's looking scary. You know, it's not just the RBI action or government, the central bank action, but it's the order passed by the Supreme Court of US yesterday. It is what's happening in Maharashtra. It is the oil prices. It is like the macros seem to be completely out of whack at this point. What's your view on whether this is a temporary phenomenon and in the long term things look good for India, or do you think that this is a time when a lot of assumptions will be challenged?
Actually, I covered a large part of that in my presentation.
So, okay.
I covered a lot, but I'm happy to get on to you separately. If Pankaj, you can say,
sure.
I can answer that question. It will be a very long answer. It's a long answer. Don't worry too much about abortion pill and all. Relax.
Okay.
we have a reverse problem here in India. So macro में what I told them is that अभी गीतांजलि एक्सप्रेस अगर अहमदाबाद सूरत से जाती तो सब आप ही के साथ जाते ईस्ट में, सब ईस्ट चले गए ना. Don't worry too much. One party is getting stronger and stronger. Okay.
We'll hopefully share the presentation.
Gives a lot of stability. But I'll
will
answer separately. I'll take that question from Pankaj. I'll take your number from Pankaj and call you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. So I'm sure there are a lot of questions which remain unanswered, but unfortunately, with the paucity of time, we need to close. I'll request Nilakshi to propose a vote of thanks. Nilakshi.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Pankaj. So I think since we're talking about money and wealth, there's a very famous saying that comes to my mind by Robert Kiyosaki that financial freedom is available to those who learn about it and work for it. So, I would like to sincerely thank Mr. Ashish Gumashta for imparting us the knowledge to attain financial freedom to manage wealth, especially in these uncertain times of COVID and the Russian war, this rising inflation scenario, ever-changing business and market conditions. So, thank you very much, Mr. Ashish. It was really helpful, really insightful session. And thank you for taking so many questions, Mr. Nitin. I think there's a lot of good explanations and perspectives that we've got in this discussion. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nilakshi. From what I'm reading in the newspaper, you're going to become very rich. EY is splitting the company, right? So congratulations.
That has not been confirmed yet, but let's see.
Great.
We'll keep
Give us your wealth to manage. Give it to Julius Baer to manage. Don't forget.
Of course, okay. Definitely.
Thank you, everybody. Very grateful. I really enjoyed the evening. Nitin, thank you for adding to my, actually you were the right person, but I was fortunate that they got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you also actually to Shweta for arranging this, to our entire organizing team, to Pankaj for moderating this event, and last but not the least, our wonderful audience for keeping all of us engaged and for such enthusiastic participation from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Actually, we can, if we can.
Yeah, I think we'll also present a memento to Mr. Ashish right now. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks, Ashish, and thanks, audience. We'll close the session now. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.